So I just watched this video of Vladimir Putin being interviewed about the situation in Ukraine and in Russia and the world to do with the US and NATO and all this kind of stuff. And I just thought I would share my initial reaction of the whole thing. So, I mean, very simple, I'll keep this really brief. I just thought that he was really sincere, from the way that he talked. I mean, he addressed every question in detail. He seemed very open and sincere in the things that he said. He gave a very detailed explanation of his standpoint and everything that he had to share. He mentioned things about the heart. And, the guy who did the interviewer, Daryl Kroll or something like that, he honestly, when I observed him, he seemed like he was, he said some things that were kind of red flags for me. He, like brought up certain points and, just sort of, he had a snarkiness about him. He had this, this attitude where, like, he almost like a self-righteous kind of thing, thinking, I don't know, maybe he thought that the interview was going to go in a certain way. I don't know. I'm just sharing my perspective, but I really enjoyed the interview. I think that it was a great thing to see. I don't follow politics at all. It's just above and beyond what I involve myself in, but a friend sent me this who I respect, and I really appreciated being shown this thing. And yeah, like something, he had so many great points. I mean, because of course, world politics, it is a complex situation, and certainly to do with where we're at and in the progression of society, global society, and even countries and stuff like that. Like, it's, we're coming through something, we're going, there's been a lot of not transparency and not communication coming up are that has taken place in the past. There's been a lot of like very shady things that have happened, and it's like, and it's difficult to make sense, but hearing him speak, it really felt like he was speaking from the heart. And I don't know, I can't say that I'm this amazing judge of character, but just in my own perceptions of the way that he handled himself in that situation for 2 hours, speaking at length about something that is very complex, world governments and society and situations and history and stuff like that. It was great to hear what he had to say and how he described his own people, and to help you wrap your mind around that kind of stuff. It was absolutely fascinating, and I would really recommend it if that's the kind of thing that you were interested in learning about. And kind of, yeah, like I said, I stay away from it because or a lot of the politics stuff, because of the complexity of it. And it's like, like he says, a lot of the media, it's not just like authentic journalism. Some of it, there's an agenda to some of it, and it's just like, it can be challenging to know what to believe and what not to, because there's certain narratives that are pushed and stuff like that. But really great interview. It brought a couple things to mind. One of them is like, because like there has been this thing with Russia and the Cold War and like, and things to do with nuclear strikes and stuff like that. There's all this fear mongering, this boogeyman that he talks about. And one of the things that there's a saying by the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu is that never underestimate your enemy, meaning, and by underestimating your enemy, meaning thinking that he is evil. When I watched that interview, that man spoke with such I don't know if the word is poise, but he was very, he was, he wasn't, it didn't seem to me like he was out to pull the wool over anybody's eyes or trying to get away with something. He had a legitimate side to his story and the things that he had to share. And so, it's the guy, yeah, he seemed very sincere. So, not this evil. And it's very easy to see the wars happening and stuff like that. And I don't condone war. I don't, any of that kind of stuff. But I'm just saying, it's like, I also know, say, like, there's this war going on in Israel. Once again, very complex situation. But at the same time, it's like humanity, we're going through this transition, and there's some things that have been going on for a long time, and it's like, how is that going to come to an end? Some things have to come to light in order to deal with the situation that we face as a people, as in global society and in countries and things like that. So yeah, really, really good. It's something that another way that I look at it is that, so like I'm into spiritual stuff, and then so there somebody that I pay attention to the teachings of is a guy named Bashar, Daryl Anka, who channels this entity known as Bashar. And the thing is, it's like, you don't have to agree with any of what the guy says, but the fact that he can speak about very complex matters for huge amounts of times, for hours and hours. And this guy, like in the case of Bashar, he's been talking about this stuff, about spirituality and about physics and metaphysics and da 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 da. And he does it for hours on end, answering every question that anybody can ever throw at him, which reminds me of like a Jordan Peterson as well, that he handles himself like there's never a time when he gets tripped up and it shows that that the guy's out to lunch. He just like handles it like a boss. There's something about that, being able to express that stuff, because it's like he's coming from this place. That's when you're a heart-based person, which he says that he is, and that's what part of like the people, the Russian people, I think that's what he said, they're very, the heart is a big thing. And so it's like, that's why when you speak from there, the mind is this labyrinth that you can, you're trying to prove things, or you create an image or this or that, or be right, or prove somebody else wrong or whatever. But the heart, it doesn't have to mess with any of that nonsense. And so that really struck me about listening to him talking, just that he could go on for a very long period of time speaking about very complex matters and never once getting like tripped up and be like, oh well, and like have to like brush something off, or like, it seemed very sincere. And so, and then the only other thing that kind of really came up for me was that what is it, something, it's like to do with like, there's this guy, there's an American psychologist by the name of Marshall Rosenberg, and he developed a system of communication called nonviolent communication, and it's based on this idea that it's never that it's never that our interests are in conflict. It's how we go about trying to get the things that we need. So if we can just exchange the information that is relevant, so that we can have our needs met. Yeah, it's about universal needs, about meeting needs. And as long as we can communicate effectively about what our needs are, then we can always find peaceful resolutions to the issues that might come up as conflicts, because it's not that our needs are in conflict. That's what I meant to say. It's that the way that we go about trying to get those things. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I will, yeah, that's it. I just found that fascinating, so I thought I would share it, because I really do see us in a time right now where we need to go through some things. Some things are a mess, and so how is it all going to get fixed? Things like this. Something else too, seeing how I've already kind of touched on the subjects, is like, it's something that happened recently. Because like I said, I don't follow politics at all. It's just not my interest. But there was something that Bashar said a long time ago. There was like leading up to the year 2016, because it's to do with numerology and cycles of 9, because 2016, so 6 plus 2 plus 1 is a 9. So it is the end of a cycle, which is also the beginning of a new cycle. And so the idea is that there was this big buildup to the fall of 2016, and it was this idea that as we like move forward, transition from where we have been and what we've been doing to what we're going to do about it and beyond, kind of deal, like how we, and then, so, when we're, say, in the future, looking back at what was that thing that essentially sparked the change? What was the initial thing that eventually led to the big changes that led to like the transformation of our society for the better, right? How did we overcome all of this kind of stuff? And the only thing that happened, as far as I was aware of, because I was really paying attention during that time, there were some small things, but the thing that happened was the inauguration of President Trump. And like I said, I don't follow politics. I never watched anything once while he was in. I know that he did some stuff that some people don't agree with. Like I said, I don't follow it. I know that he might have said some things, I agree that the dude said he's probably been rough around the edges, but I've been rough around the edges too, so I'm not one to point fingers. I mean, he's done some things, and then he got kicked out, and then, like I said, I only know the bare bones of the story. I'm not a supporter, I'm not a defender, I'm not a condemner, any of that kind of stuff. I'm just a human being sharing his perspective. But the point is that, and then there's this whole thing with this impeachment, and it's just like war, I don't know, impeachment, and he needs to be, I don't know, punished in some way, or something has to happen for all these terrible things that he did. Maybe so, I don't know. But then all of a sudden, it's like he's getting back, like he might be like running for presidency. Like I said, I don't watch TV, so I don't even know. There could be an election on right now, and I don't even know, or probably know, right? But like, and so, and he has this support, and it's just interesting to me that I can't help overlook, this whole thing with him getting in and the timing of that. And then, like, who knows, maybe sometimes things happen that don't make sense at the time, but then they come full circle, and I just think it's really funny. I say it to people who are not necessarily pro-Trump, just that they're just how it's kind of funny that this is how it's all playing out. And maybe, just maybe, that guy has something to do with being not the savior of mankind, right? But like something to do, part of the catalyst, part of the process that leads to the upliftment of our society, so that we can move beyond this not communicating and fighting each other and the secrecy and like whatever other nonsense is preventing rapid advancement in certain areas, right? Yeah, so I don't know. Fingers crossed, like that's all yeah, I believe in in the human spirit. I believe in people, and I believe that stuff about Marshall Rosenberg. I believe the stuff that Bashar says, and I believe Putin for what it's worth. I mean, yeah, so yay. I don't know. All I can say is yay. Yay.